The rain had not stopped for 3 days. It fell from the gray sky of Veloria like the planet itself was crying. The marshlands, already wet and dangerous, had become a nightmare of rising water and thick mud. Kang Ti-Wu walked through it all, his boots sinking with every step. He was 28 years old, a soldier of the Galactic Alliance peacekeeping force. His unit had been stationed on this alien world for 6 months now. Most days were boring. Patrol the area, watch for trouble, report anything strange. Today felt different, though. The storm had changed everything. Ti-Wu pushed forward through the waist-deep water. His rifle was held high above his head to keep it dry. The rain hit his face like tiny needles, but he did not complain. Soldiers did not complain. They just moved forward. His communicator crackled with static. The storm was blocking most signals. He was alone out here, and that was fine with him. Ti-Wu had always been comfortable with silence. Growing up in a small town on Earth, he had learned to appreciate quiet moments. The noise of war had taken many things from him, but not that. Something floated past him in the dark water. He grabbed it and held it up, a torn banner with golden symbols. He recognized it immediately. This was a royal banner of Veloria. The princess had come through here. Everyone on the base knew about Princess Irindel. She was the youngest daughter of the Velorian emperor. Beautiful, they said, but cold as the space between stars. She traveled often, always with a large group of guards and servants. She collected rare animals from across the galaxy, the way other people collected stamps or coins. Ti-Wu dropped the banner and kept walking. Whatever the princess was doing out here was not his concern. His job was simple: patrol and report, nothing more. Then he heard it. The sound was low and desperate. It was like a roar mixed with a cry of pain. It came from somewhere ahead, muffled by the rain and wind. Ti-Wu stopped and listened. The sound came again, weaker this time. He moved toward it. The water grew deeper. Soon it was up to his chest. He had to swim in some places, pushing through the flood with strong arms. The sound guided him forward like a beacon in the darkness. Finally he saw it. A transport cage sat in the water, more than half of it already below the surface. It was large, meant for carrying dangerous cargo. Through the metal bars, Ti-Wu could see movement. Something was inside, thrashing against the cage walls as the water rose higher. He swam closer, and his breath caught in his throat. Inside the cage was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It was like a lion, but bigger, much bigger. It had 6 powerful legs and a mane that seemed to glow with a soft purple light. Its fur was dark gray, and its eyes were golden, filled with fear and rage. This was a Veloran Mane King, one of the rarest and most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. The beast saw him and roared. The sound was so loud that Ti-Wu felt it in his chest, but he did not run. Instead, he looked at the cage and understood what had happened. The princess had left it here to die. When the floods came too fast, her guards must have decided the creature was too heavy to move and too dangerous to release. So they abandoned it, left it locked in a cage while the water rose inch by inch. A slow, terrible death by drowning. Ti-Wu felt anger burn in his chest. He did not think about rules or protocols. He did not think about how dangerous this creature was supposed to be. He only thought about one thing. He would not let it die like this. The cage was locked with an electronic security system. Small lights blinked on a panel near the door. Ti-Wu grabbed the bars and pulled himself up, half his body still in the water. He reached for the panel and touched it. Pain shot through his body as electricity hit him. The security system was still active. He fell back into the water, gasping. The shock left his arms weak and shaking. Inside the cage, the beast watched him with those golden eyes. The water was now at its neck. In minutes, it would cover the creature's head completely. Ti-Wu grabbed the bars again. Another shock hit him, stronger this time. He held on anyway. His teeth clenched so hard he thought they might break. His hands found the edge of the panel and he pulled. Metal and wires came apart under his fingers. Blood mixed with rainwater as the sharp edges cut his skin. The third shock was the worst. Ti-Woo screamed, but he did not let go. He kept pulling, kept tearing at the mechanism until finally something clicked. The lock released. The cage door swung open. The beast exploded outward. Its massive body hit Ti-Woo and pushed him under the water. For one terrible moment, he thought this was how he would die, saved a monster just to be killed by it. Then he felt something grab his uniform, teeth but gentle. The creature pulled him up from the water and dragged him through the flood. Ti-Woo could not fight. He could barely breathe. He just let it happen. When the beast finally stopped, they were on higher ground, a small hill that rose above the water level. Ti-Woo lay on his back, coughing and gasping for air. Every part of his body hurt. The electricity had left burns on his hands and the cuts were still bleeding. The creature collapsed beside him. It was breathing hard, its purple mane flickering weakly. It looked exhausted, half-drowned, and completely spent. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Ti-Woo turned his head and looked at the beast. It was watching him with those golden eyes. There was no rage in them now, no fear, just something that looked almost like confusion, like it could not understand why a small, weak human had risked everything to save it. "Guess we're both having a bad day," Ti-Woo said. His voice was rough and tired. The beast made a low sound in its throat. Not a growl, not a threat, something softer, something like acknowledgement. Ti-Woo closed his eyes. The rain continued to fall, but here on this small hill, they were safe. A human soldier and an alien beast, both pulled from the edge of death by a moment of compassion. He did not know what would happen next. He did not know if the creature would still be here when he woke up, or if it would disappear into the wilderness. He did not know how he would explain any of this to his commanders. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now they were alive, and sometimes that was enough. The storm raged on around them, but on that small hill above the flood, the soldier slept. And beside him, the beast that should have killed him instead stood guard, its golden eyes watching the darkness for any sign of danger. It was the beginning of something impossible, something that would change both their lives forever. But that story was still waiting to be told. 3 weeks had passed since the storm. The floods had gone down, and the marshlands of Veloria had returned to their normal state. Life at the human Velorian military outpost continued as usual. Soldiers trained, officers gave orders, and everyone followed their daily routines. Everyone except Kang Ti-Woo. He stood at the edge of the old supply depot, looking around carefully to make sure no one was watching. The building had been abandoned for months. Most soldiers thought it was empty. They were wrong. Ti-Woo opened the heavy door and stepped inside. The moment he entered, he heard a low rumbling sound. It was not a warning, it was a greeting. The main king lay in the corner of the depot, its massive body taking up almost half the room. Its purple mane glowed softly in the darkness, providing the only light. When it saw Ti-Woo, it lifted its great head and made that rumbling sound again. "Hey there, Bora," Ti-Woo said quietly. He had started calling the creature Bora after the purple color of its mane. It seemed to like the name, or at least it did not try to eat him when he used it. He reached into his bag and pulled out several large pieces of meat. He had traded his dessert rations for a week to get them from the kitchen staff. They thought he had a strange eating habit. Let them think that. Bora stood up and walked toward him. Each of its 6 legs moved with smooth grace. It was strange how something so large could be so quiet. The creature took the meat gently from Ti-Woo's hands, careful not to touch his fingers with its enormous teeth. Ti-Woo sat down on an old crate and watched Bora eat. He still could not believe this was happening. According to every scientific report he had read, Maine Kings could not be tamed. They were apex predators with brains hardwired for violence. The Valorians only controlled them through special collars that sent pain signals directly into their nervous systems. But Bora wore no collar. Bora had no restraints at all. And yet here it was, eating calmly from Tiwu's hand like a giant house cat. When the meat was finished, Bora walked over and lay down beside him. Its massive head rested near Tiwu's knee. The purple glow of its mane pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Tiwu reached out and touched that mane. The fur was softer than he expected, and warm. Bora made a sound of contentment, a deep vibration that Tiwu could feel in his bones. "What am I going to do with you?" he asked softly. The creature did not answer, of course. It just closed its golden eyes and enjoyed the attention. The next morning, Tiwu was in the training yard when the trouble started. A soldier named Kim Jung-kai had been giving him problems for weeks. Jung-kai was big, loud, and thought being strong made him important. He had heard rumors about Tiwu sneaking around at night and decided today was the day to confront him. "Hey, Kang," Jung-kai shouted across the yard. "What are you hiding in that old depot? Everyone knows you go there every night." Tiwu said nothing. He just continued cleaning his rifle. Jung-kai walked closer, his face twisted with anger. "I'm talking to you, soldier. You think you're better than everyone else. Too good to answer a simple question." "I don't owe you any answers," Tiwu said calmly. "Mind your own business." That was the wrong thing to say. Jung-kai grabbed Tiwu by the collar and pulled him to his feet. "Listen here, you little." He never finished the sentence. Something emerged from behind the weapons storage building. Something huge. It moved without sound, its 6 legs carrying it forward like a ghost made of muscle and fury. Its purple mane flared bright, and its golden eyes fixed on Jung-kai with terrifying intensity. Bora had followed him. Somehow, it had escaped the depot and followed him all the way to the training yard. Jung-kai released Tiwu and stumbled backward. His face went pale. What is that thing?" Other soldiers noticed now. Shouts of alarm filled the air. Someone reached for their weapon. "Nobody shoot," Tiwu commanded. He stepped between Bora and the soldiers, his hands raised. "Don't make any sudden moves." Bora stood behind him, its massive body tense and ready. It was not attacking, but the threat was clear. "Touch this human and I will destroy you." Captain Park Yuna arrived within minutes. She was a strong woman with sharp eyes and a practical mind. She had led this outpost for 2 years and had never seen anything like this. "Kang Tiwu," she said slowly, looking at the massive creature standing protectively behind her soldier. "Would you like to explain why there is a Main King in my training yard?" Tiwu told her everything. The storm, the abandoned cage, the rescue, the 3 weeks he had spent hiding and caring for the creature. Through it all, Bora stood beside him, calm and watchful. When he finished, Captain Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she called for Dr. Beek Sumin, the outpost xenobiologist. Dr. Beek was a small woman with curious eyes and a brilliant mind. She had studied alien creatures for 15 years, but she had never seen anything like this either. She approached Bora carefully, her scanner in hand. "Easy," Tiwu said softly, placing his hand on Bora's mane. "She's a friend, she won't hurt you." Bora allowed the examination. It stood perfectly still while Dr. Beek took readings and samples. This alone was remarkable. Main Kings were known to attack anyone who came too close. When Dr. Beek finished, her face showed complete confusion. "This is impossible," she said. "Its stress hormones are at normal levels. Its brain activity shows patterns of calm and trust. This creature should be wild, traumatized, violent." She looked at Tiwu with wonder. "What did you do to it?" "Nothing," Tiwu answered honestly. "I just didn't leave it to die." Captain Yuna made a decision. She was not a cold person, but she was practical. A wild Main King loose on the base was dangerous, but a Main King that followed a soldier and protected him, that was something else entirely. "If anyone asks," she said finally, This creature is a military asset under evaluation. Kang, you are responsible for it. If it causes any problems, I will have it removed. Do you understand?" "Yes, Captain," Tiwu said. Relief filled his chest. "And Kang," Yuna added, "don't make me regret this." Days passed. Word spread through the outpost about the soldier and his strange companion. Some soldiers were afraid of Bora, some were curious, a few were jealous, but everyone learned quickly not to threaten Kang Tiwu. What none of them knew was that word had spread beyond the outpost as well. In a golden palace on the other side of the planet, Princess Irindel received a report from one of her spies. Her pet, the one she had ordered abandoned in the flood, was alive. Not only alive, but bonded to a human. A simple soldier had achieved what Valorian science claimed was impossible. The princess read the report 3 times. Her beautiful face showed no emotion, but her hands trembled with rage. "Bring it back," she commanded her chief guard. "That creature belongs to me. I do not care about treaties or protocols. Bring it back to me." She paused, her eyes as cold as ice. "And bring me the human who stole it. I want to see this soldier for myself." The guard bowed and left to carry out her orders. In the Golden Palace, Princess Irindel sat alone, planning her revenge against a man who had committed the worst possible crime. He had made her look foolish, and for that he would pay. The royal convoy arrived at the outpost on a clear morning. 5 transport ships landed in perfect formation, their golden hulls shining in the sun. Soldiers from both species stopped their work to watch. This was not a normal visit. Princess Irindel stepped out of the lead ship like a goddess descending from heaven. She was tall and beautiful, with silver hair that flowed down to her waist and eyes the color of pale moons. Her gown was made of materials that shifted color with every movement. 2 rows of guards followed behind her, each one armed with weapons that could destroy a building. Captain Yuna met her at the landing pad. "Your Highness," she said with a respectful bow, "we were not expecting a royal visit." "I am sure you were not," Irindel replied. Her voice was musical but cold, like wind chimes made of ice. "I am here to collect my property, a creature of mine that was misplaced during the recent storms." "Your Highness, I am not sure what you mean." Irindel's smile did not reach her eyes. "Do not play games with me, Captain. I know my main king is here. I know one of your soldiers has been keeping it like some kind of pet." She said the word with disgust. "I want it returned immediately." Captain Yuna kept her face neutral. "Perhaps we should discuss this in my office." "There is nothing to discuss. The creature is mine by law. My father paid 50,000 credits for it. It bears my family's mark on its collar implant." Irindel tilted her head slightly. "Unless the Galactic Alliance now supports theft from Valorian royalty." The situation was becoming dangerous. Captain Yuna could see it clearly. The Alliance needed Valorian cooperation for the peace treaties. One soldier's attachment to an animal was not worth a diplomatic incident. But still, something about this felt wrong. "The creature has bonded with one of my soldiers," Yuna said carefully. "Our xenobiologist has confirmed this. Separating them might be harmful to both." Irindel laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Bonded? Captain, that is scientifically impossible. Main kings do not bond. They are beasts, nothing more. Whatever your soldier thinks he has achieved, it is simply the creature waiting for an opportunity to kill him." "With respect, Your Highness, I do not believe that is true." "I do not care what you believe." All pretense of politeness vanished from Irindel's voice. "You will bring the creature to me now, or I will take it by force, and I will have your soldier arrested for theft." Captain Yuna had no choice. She sent word to Tiwu. He arrived 20 minutes later with Bora walking beside him. The creature moved calmly, its purple mane glowing softly in the daylight. When it saw the princess and her guards, it stopped and made a low sound in its throat. Tiwu placed his hand on Bora's neck. "Easy," he said quietly. "I'm here." Princess Irindel stared at the scene with an expression of disbelief. The creature that had been wild and dangerous under her control was now calm and peaceful beside this human. It made no sense. It went against everything she had been taught. "You," she said, pointing at Tiwu, "you are the one who took my property." "I saved its life," Tiwu replied. His voice was respectful but firm. "Your people left it to drown in a locked cage. I freed it. It was not your place to interfere." "Forgive me, Your Highness, but I could not watch a living creature die, not when I could help." Irindel's eyes narrowed. "How touching, how very human of you." She turned to her chief guard, a massive Velorian warrior named Commander Rildes. "Take the creature." Rildes nodded and signaled to his men. They moved forward with shock poles and restraint cables, the same tools they always used to control main kings. They expected the creature to fight, to rage, to be the wild beast they knew. That is not what happened. Bora did not attack. It did not run. Instead, it moved to stand between the guards and Tiwu. It planted all 6 legs firmly on the ground and let out a warning growl that shook the air. Its message was clear: you will not touch him. "Fire the shock poles," Rildes commanded. The guards activated their weapons. Blue lightning shot toward Bora, striking its massive body. The creature roared in pain but did not move. It stood its ground, protecting the human behind it, even as electricity burned through its fur. "Stop!" Tiwu shouted. He stepped forward, pushing past Bora despite its attempt to keep him back. He stood directly between the creature and the guards, his arms spread wide. "Enough! You're hurting it." "Step aside, human," Rildes warned. "No." The single word hung in the air. Captain Yuna watched with wide eyes. Ambassador Choi Hyun-seo, who had been called from his office when the situation escalated, watched with growing concern. Even Princess Irindel seemed surprised by the soldier's defiance. Tiwu turned and placed his hand on Bora's mane. The creature was breathing hard, smoke rising from where the shock poles had struck. But the moment Tiwu touched it, Bora calmed. Its breathing slowed. Its growl faded to a soft rumble. Dr. Beak stepped forward, unable to stay silent any longer. "Your Highness, please look at this." The creature is responding to him. Its stress levels dropped the moment he made contact. This is not control through fear or pain. This is genuine emotional bonding. Irindel stared at Tiwu and Bora. She saw what everyone saw, a human and a beast standing together as equals, protecting each other. It should have been impossible. Her scientists had told her so 1,000 times. Main kings were incapable of such connections. But here it was, happening right in front of her. "How?" she whispered. The word escaped before she could stop it. "That creature, it cannot bond like this, it cannot." Dr. Beak spoke carefully. "Perhaps your science was wrong, Your Highness. Perhaps you never gave them the chance to show what they could become. Perhaps they needed kindness, not control." For one moment, something flickered in Irindel's eyes. Something that might have been doubt or wonder or even shame. Then it was gone, replaced by cold anger. "This changes nothing," she declared. "The creature is my property under Velorian law. I demand its return within 48 hours. She looked directly at Ambassador Choi. "If my demand is not met, I will consider this an act of theft against the Velorian crown. The diplomatic consequences will be severe." Ambassador Choi stepped forward. "Your Highness, please, let us discuss this calmly. Surely there is a solution that satisfies everyone." "There is a solution, Ambassador. Give me what is mine." Irindel turned and walked back toward her ship. 48 hours, not a minute more. The convoy departed as dramatically as it had arrived. When the ships were gone, a heavy silence fell over the outpost. Captain Yuna approached Tiwu. "That was either very brave or very stupid, soldier." "Probably both," Tiwu admitted. "The princess is not someone you want as an enemy. She has power and influence that could crush your career, maybe even your life." "I know." Tiwu looked down at Bora, who had pressed its massive head against his side. But I made a promise. When I pulled Bora from that cage, I promised I would keep it safe. I'm not breaking that promise for anyone. That night Tiwu sat alone in his quarters. Bora lay on the floor beside him, too large to fit comfortably but refusing to leave. The creature's head rested on his lap, and its purple mane cast soft shadows on the walls. I don't know how to fight an empire, Tiwu said quietly. His hand stroked Bora's fur slowly. I'm just one soldier. She has armies, wealth, political power. I have nothing. Bora made a sound, low and gentle. Its golden eyes looked up at him with complete trust. But I'm not giving you up, Tiwu continued. I don't care what it costs. You chose me for some reason and I choose you too. We'll figure this out together. The creature's mane flickered brighter for a moment, pulsing with light. It was almost like it understood every word. Outside, stars filled the alien sky. Somewhere across the planet, a princess plotted her next move. Somewhere else, diplomats worried about treaties and alliances. But in this small room, a human and a beast sat together in the darkness, bound by something stronger than law or science or royal decree. They were bound by trust. And trust, Tiwu believed, was worth fighting for. The galactic station Concordia floated in the empty space between three star systems. It was a place of laws and treaties, where disputes were settled through words instead of weapons. Thousands of species came here to seek justice. Today, that justice would decide the fate of a soldier and his beast. Kang Tiwu stood at the entrance of the arbitration chamber. He wore his formal military uniform, cleaned and pressed for the occasion. Beside him walked Bora, its purple mane dimmed to a soft glow out of respect for the sacred space. Ambassador Choi Hyun-seo had worked through the night to arrange this hearing. Rather than risk a diplomatic disaster or even war, he had proposed a compromise. Let the matter be decided by galactic common law. Let a neutral arbiter hear both sides and make a ruling that everyone must accept. Princess Irindel had agreed. She was confident in her legal claim. The creature was purchased with money, registered in her name, and marked with her family's identification code. By every traditional measure, it belonged to her. Tiwu was less confident. He was not a lawyer. He did not understand the complicated rules of galactic courts, but he refused to give up. Captain Yuna and Dr. Beak had come to support him, along with Lieutenant Shin Diho, his closest friend in the unit. Remember, Ambassador Choi said as they entered the chamber, speak only when spoken to. Be respectful. Let the evidence speak for itself. Tiwu nodded. His hand rested on Bora's neck, feeling the creature's steady heartbeat beneath the fur. The arbitration chamber was circular, with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats, here to witness what had become a famous case. The story of the human soldier and the alien beast had spread across the galaxy. At the center of the platform sat Arbiter Vaughn. He was ancient, with a body made of multiple segments and more arms than Tiwu could count. His species was known for perfect impartiality. They had no concept of lies or bias. They only knew truth. This hearing will now begin, Arbiter Vaughn announced. His voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. The matter before us concerns ownership of a creature known as a Veloran Main King. Princess Irindel of Veloria claims legal ownership. Private Kang Tiwu of the Human Alliance claims the right of bonding. Both sides will present their arguments. Princess Irindel rose first. She looked magnificent in her royal gown, every inch the powerful ruler. The facts of this case are simple, she began. I purchased this Main King from a licensed dealer for 50,000 credits. It was registered in my name. It bears my family's identification implant. By every law of property, it belongs to me. She walked slowly around the platform, addressing not just the arbiter but the entire audience. The human soldier claims he saved the creature from drowning. Perhaps he did. I thank him for his service. but saving something does not make it yours. If I rescue a crashed ship from the ocean, does that ship become mine? Of course not. The original owner retains all rights. Her argument was strong. Ti-Wu could see many heads nodding in the crowd. The human also claims the creature has bonded with him, Irindel continued. Her voice dripped with dismissal. This is scientifically impossible. My own experts have studied Main Kings for centuries. They do not bond. They do not form attachments. What this human interprets as bonding is simply trained behavior. The creature has learned that obeying him brings food and safety. She returned to her seat with a final statement. I ask this court to return my property and to remind the human that theft, no matter how well-intentioned, is still theft. Arbiter Von turned his many eyes to Ti-Wu. You may now present your response. Ti-Wu stood slowly. His heart pounded in his chest. Public speaking had never been his strength, but he thought of Bora lying calmly beside him and found his courage. I am not a lawyer, he began. I do not know all the complicated words and rules, but I know what I saw in that flood. I saw a living creature left to die in a cage. I heard it crying out in fear and pain, and I could not walk away. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Princess Irindel calls Bora her property. Maybe the law says she is right, but I ask this court to consider something more than law. Bora is not a chair or a ship. It is a living being with thoughts and feelings. It can feel fear. It can feel trust. It can feel love. Some in the audience shifted uncomfortably. Others leaned forward with interest. The princess says bonding is impossible. Her scientists told her so. But science only knows what it has studied. No one ever studied what happens when you treat a Main King with kindness instead of pain. No one ever tried to earn its trust instead of forcing its obedience. Dr. Beek rose to support him. Arbiter Von, I have examined this creature extensively. Its neural patterns show clear signs of emotional attachment to Private Kang. Its stress hormones decrease in his presence. Its brain activity changes when he speaks. These are not trained responses. These are genuine bonds, identical to those seen between humans and their companion animals. Lieutenant Deho spoke next. I have witnessed this creature's behavior myself. It escaped a locked building just to follow Private Kang across the base. It refused to eat until he returned from a mission. When another soldier threatened Kang, it appeared out of nowhere to protect him. He looked at the Arbiter directly. I have never seen such loyalty, not in any animal, not even in most people. Arbiter Von listened to everything with patience. When all testimonies were complete, he raised one of his many hands. I wish to see something for myself, he announced. I wish to see who the creature chooses. Guards brought Bora to the center of the platform. The creature looked around nervously at the strange surroundings. Its mane flickered with uncertainty. Princess Irindel stood on one side of the platform. She raised her voice and spoke the command words that had been programmed into Bora since its capture. These were the words that should trigger instant obedience, backed by years of pain conditioning. Main King, attend your mistress. Come to me now. Bora turned its head slightly. It looked at Irindel for a long moment. Then, very deliberately, it looked away. The princess spoke the commands again, louder. Bora did not respond. On the other side of the platform, Ti-Wu knelt down. He did not give commands. He did not use any special words. He simply held out his hand and said, Hey, Bora, it's okay, I'm here. The creature's ears perked up. Its mane brightened. Without hesitation, it walked across the platform, past the guards, past the princess, and stopped beside Ti-Wu. Its great head rested against his chest, and it made that familiar rumbling sound of contentment. The chamber fell completely silent. Arbiter Von studied the scene for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was filled with something that might have been wonder. I have lived for 3,000 years, he said. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have witnessed miracles and tragedies beyond counting, but I have never seen anything quite like this. He straightened his many arms. The princess claims ownership through purchase and registration. These are valid claims under property law. But the galactic common law also recognizes something called the right of bonding. When a sentient or near-sentient creature forms a genuine emotional attachment to a caregiver, that bond supersedes traditional ownership. Irindel rose angrily. The creature is not sentient, it is an animal. It is a living being, Vaughn replied calmly, and it has made its choice. This court has witnessed that choice with its own eyes. He turned to face the audience. I find in favor of Private Kang Ti-Wu. The bond between soldier and creature is recognized under galactic common law. Ownership claims are hereby dissolved. The main king called Bora is a free being, entitled to remain with its chosen companion. The chamber erupted. Some cheered, some protested. Princess Irindel stood frozen with shock and rage. Ti-Wu knelt beside Bora, overwhelmed with emotion. They had won. Against all odds, against an empire, they had won. Ownership implies dominion, Arbiter Vaughn concluded. What I have witnessed here is partnership. The creature has made its choice. This court will honor it. As Irindel stormed from the chamber, her voice carried back to Ti-Wu. This is not over, human. You have made a powerful enemy today. But Ti-Wu barely heard her. He was too busy wrapping his arms around Bora's neck, feeling the creature's warmth, listening to its rumbling purr. They were free, they were together. And nothing would ever change that. 6 months had passed since the trial. The galaxy had moved on to other news, other scandals, other conflicts. But the story of the soldier and the beast had not been forgotten. It had become something of a legend, shared in cantinas and classrooms across 100 worlds. Kang Ti-Wu did not feel like a legend. He felt like a soldier with a very large companion and a very demanding schedule. He had been reassigned to a forward operating base near the border, where tensions with a hostile faction called the Krell Dominion were always high. It was dangerous work, but Ti-Wu did not mind. He had faced worse things than enemy soldiers. He had faced a princess. Bora came with him, of course. After the trial, Galactic Command had officially recognized the creature as a companion animal with military clearance. This fancy title meant that Bora could go wherever Ti-Wu went, as long as it behaved itself. So far, it had. The base was small, holding only about 50 soldiers. At first, many of them were afraid of Bora. A creature that size, with those teeth and those claws, was not something most humans wanted to be around. But over time, they learned what Ti-Wu had known from the beginning. Bora was gentle. It played with the soldiers' children when families visited. It let the medical staff examine it without complaint. It sat patiently while young recruits took pictures with it, their eyes wide with excitement. The beast that was supposed to be a monster had become something else entirely. It had become a friend. The attack came on a night when the moons were dark. The Krell Dominion sent 300 soldiers against the base. They came silently, using technology that blocked communications and disabled sensors. By the time the alarm sounded, the enemy was already inside the walls. Ti-Wu woke to the sound of explosions. He grabbed his rifle and ran outside, Bora right behind him. What he saw made his blood run cold. The base was on fire. Soldiers ran in every direction, some fighting, some dying. The enemy was everywhere, their black armor making them look like shadows with weapons. They had numbers, surprise, and superior firepower. The humans were losing. Captain Yuna's voice crackled over the emergency channel. All units fall back to the central bunker. We need to regroup. Communications are jammed. We can't call for help. Ti-Wu gathered what soldiers he could and began fighting his way toward the bunker. Bora moved beside him, its mane burning bright purple in the darkness. The enemy shot at them both, but the creature was fast. Faster than anything that size should be. They reached the bunker, but the situation was hopeless. 40 soldiers remained alive. surrounded by an army 10 times their number. The walls would not hold forever. Without communications, no reinforcements would come. "We're trapped," Lieutenant Deho said grimly. "Even if we hold out until morning, they'll just bring more troops." Tiwu looked at Bora. The creature was watching him with those golden eyes, waiting for his decision. It trusted him completely, even now, even facing death. An idea formed in his mind. A desperate, crazy idea. "The communication tower is 3 miles north," Tiwu said. "If someone could reach it and send a distress signal manually, help could arrive in an hour." "That's suicide," Deho replied. 3 miles through enemy territory, you'd never make it." "I wouldn't," Tiwu agreed, "but Bora might." Everyone fell silent. They looked at the massive creature with new understanding. "Bora is faster than any vehicle," Tiwu continued. "It can move without sound. Its night vision is perfect. If any being in this galaxy can get through those enemy lines, it's this one." Captain Yuna shook her head. "And how will Bora operate the communication equipment? It's a beast, Tiwu, no matter how special. It can't send a message." "No," Tiwu admitted, "but I can." He walked to Bora and placed both hands on its face. "I need you to do something for me," he said softly. "I need you to carry me through that army. Can you do that?" Bora made a low sound. Its mane flared brighter. "It's dangerous. We might not survive." The creature pressed its forehead against his chest. The meaning was clear. "Where you go, I go." 5 minutes later, Tiwu was on Bora's back, holding tight to its mane. He had never ridden the creature before. It had never allowed anyone on its back, but tonight was different. Tonight they were partners in the truest sense. "Open the north gate for 3 seconds, Tiwu ordered. "Then seal it behind us." "Good luck," Captain Yuna said. Her voice was tight with emotion. The gate opened. Bora exploded forward. Tiwu had never moved so fast in his life. The world became a blur of darkness and light. Bora's 6 legs moved in perfect harmony, carrying them across the battlefield like wind across water. Enemy soldiers appeared and disappeared before they could even raise their weapons. But they were seen. Shouts rose in the darkness. Weapons fired. Bora did not fight. It ran. It dodged. It leaped over obstacles and slid under barriers. When soldiers blocked the path, it went around them. When vehicles tried to follow, it outran them. A shot grazed Tiwu's shoulder. He gasped in pain but held on tighter. Another shot hit Bora's side. The creature stumbled but kept running. Ahead, Tiwu could see the communication tower rising against the stars. So close, just a little further. More shots came. One hit Tiwu's leg. The pain was incredible. He felt himself slipping, losing his grip. Bora sensed it. The creature slowed just enough to let Tiwu adjust, then accelerated again. Its mane pulsed with light, almost like encouragement. They reached the tower. Tiwu fell from Bora's back, his injured leg unable to support him. He crawled to the control panel while Bora stood guard outside, roaring at any enemy who came too close. His fingers found the emergency broadcast button. He typed in the codes Captain Yuna had given him. The signal went out, screaming into space. "Mayday, Mayday, forward base 7 under attack. Request immediate reinforcement. Mayday, Mayday." The response came within seconds. "Signal received. Help is on the way. Hold your position." Tiwu laughed weakly. "Hold the position. Easy for them to say." He dragged himself outside. Bora was bleeding from 3 different wounds, but the creature was still standing, still fighting. A dead enemy soldier lay nearby, one who had gotten too close. "We did it," Tiwu whispered. "Help is coming." Bora walked over and lay down beside him. Its massive body formed a shield between Tiwu and any further attacks. Its mane, still glowing, warmed him against the cold night air. They waited together. The reinforcements arrived 40 minutes later. The enemy, caught between the survivors in the bunker and the fresh troops from above, quickly surrendered. When the rescue team found Ti-Woo and Bora, they were both unconscious, both bleeding but both alive. Weeks later, after the wounds had healed and the reports had been written, an unexpected visitor came to Ti-Woo's room. It was Commander Rildes, the Valorian warrior who had once served Princess Erendel. Ti-Woo tensed, but Rildes raised his hands peacefully. "I am not here to fight," he said. "I am no longer in the princess's service." "Why not?" Rildes was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke slowly as if the words were difficult. "What you showed that creature, my people have never understood it. We control, we dominate, we own. That is our way. That has always been our way." He looked at Bora, who lay peacefully in the corner of the room. "But you cared. Without payment, without promise of reward, you cared, and the creature cared back." Rildes bowed his head, a Valorian gesture of deep respect. "I watched the battle recordings. I saw what you and that beast did together. No amount of neural collars or pain conditioning could ever create such loyalty." He straightened. "Perhaps we have much to learn from humans." After he left, Ti-Woo sat with Bora under the stars. The creature's mane glowed soft purple, pulsing in rhythm with Ti-Woo's heartbeat. They had been through so much together, a flood, a trial, a battle, and yet here they were, side by side, alive and free. "You know," Ti-Woo said quietly, "I didn't save you because I thought you'd save me back someday. That wasn't part of my thinking at all." Bora turned its great head to look at him. "I did it because leaving you there would have made me less than human. Because kindness isn't about getting something in return. It's about who you want to be." The creature rumbled softly, a sound of understanding, a sound of love. Somewhere across the galaxy, other species began to whisper about humans. The strange, soft creatures without natural weapons or armor. The beings who conquered not through strength but through something else entirely. Compassion. It was a word that many species knew but few truly understood. It meant caring for another being simply because that being existed. It meant seeing value in life itself, not in what that life could provide. Humans, they said, had this quality in abundance. Perhaps too much, some argued. Perhaps it made them weak. But those who had seen a human soldier ride a legendary beast through an army of enemies knew the truth. Compassion was not weakness. Compassion was the greatest strength of all. And on a small planet far from Earth, under an alien sky filled with unfamiliar stars, a soldier and his beast slept peacefully side by side. Partners, friends, family.